Hello, and welcome to our virtual Sunday service, a celebration. This week is for June 20th, which is Father's Day week. And so, of course, we want to honor and acknowledge and just send lots of love and lots of blessing to all of you fathers. We have a special treat for you. Lee Culture and performance artist and activist Gil Soto have done a beautiful tribute to all fathers. We also have Liz Jamieson-Dunne as our practitioner in the house. And like I said, Gil and Lee are our musicians. So enjoy yourself. Join with us. We are a virtual community. We are a thriving, welcoming, spiritual community that is here for you.
If you knew the you that you don't know, you'd love yourself from head to toe. You'd never be this sad or low. If you knew the you that you don't know, if you saw the you that you don't see, you would feel so differently. You'd be as happy as can be if you saw the you that you don't see. You say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you heard the you that you don't hear, all the doubt would disappear. 'Cause you're so charming and sincere. You hear the you that you don't hear. What a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. You may not see it for yourself. It's just everybody else. When the earth is old and cold and gray, and we're out beyond the Milky Way, who shall lead humanity? Well, I'd send the you that you don't see. They'd say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. Just how the people love you so, yeah. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you knew the you that you don't know.
Good morning. My name is Liz Jamieson-Dunne, and I'm your practitioner of service this morning. And I welcome all of you. And wow, it feels so great to be here. This is, for any visitors, this is the first time we're in the sanctuary after a year and a half.
A year past March.
A year, right. Yay! And I feel the energy. You know, it had a complete makeover, a facelift. The pews, the rugs, everything. It just feels light, energetic, airy. How does it feel to you? It's wonderful to be gathering together. Beginning of a new time for all of us. Hilltop is a welcoming community that welcomes all people, no matter what path that you're on. You're welcome here. And I am so, so happy to be here on our first Sunday opening. And what I'd like to do, besides welcoming you, is to start with prayer. And if you choose, just center yourself. As we're breathing and taking that breath of life, that we're taking in spirit, and knowing that as we are gathering together with each other in unity, as we breathe, that spirit flows into each fiber of our body with healing energy and love and light. We come here for those tools by Reverend Guy, by the music from Lee, from all of us gathering together in this beautiful sanctuary. We are so blessed to be able to worship together in unity, in community. And for that, I am so grateful. And I release these beautiful words and sentiment into that universal mind of God, knowing that it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. When your sense of self is no longer tied to thought, is no longer conceptual, there is a depth of feeling, of sensing, of compassion, of loving, that was not there when you were trapped in mental concepts. You are that depth.
We'll never have this again. We will never have this again. You this small and me this strong. You this impressed at my ability to simply walk into a room, to turn my legs into animated trees you could swing from, to reach things on the top shelf, to pee standing up. I build toy kingdoms that you are an expert at Godzillaing your way through. I throw you high into the blue of the afternoon and never miss your descent. Well, just that once, but we ain't telling mama about that, right? We'll never have this again. You believing police helicopters over our house are the coolest thing. Me knowing that they are looking for things that I don't want you to ever see. You believing all asphalt and sidewalks bump, dip, and crack like ours. That houses are supposed to have bumps and dips and cracks like ours. Me knowing that 5 to 10 pay grades west, they got streets smoother than a politician's promise. Me promising to get you there someday. Telling you that our rough roads are simply part of the adventure. You believing me, you always believing me. We will never have this again. Me putting sugar on truth, sugar on truth, sugar on your skin. You cinnamon baby girl, pure cinnamon. You caramel little man. Daddy's hungry. Give me that baby toe to gobble right up. Where you going?
Quicker than a kiss, sweet as your laugh. Yeah, the day got away, nothing ever lasts. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, just a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little.
Fatherhood is a contract, unwritten, with ink that never dries, with language vastly open to interpretation, on paper still alive. We are a testament to eternity. Although I will need multiple mental health breaks, it's gonna take more than that tantrum of yours to make me ever want to leave your side. It is my job to make sure that you inherit less emotional baggage than I had to carry, or at the very least better prepare you. I take this love seriously, how dangerous this world is, seriously, how beautiful this world could be when we have fun taking it seriously. And we only have these brief moments to get all of this done. So on days that I squeeze you longer and tighter than your boundless energy will entertain, just allow me this quiet vulnerability for a moment. We will never have this exact us again.
Quicker than a kiss, sweet as your laugh. If the day got away, nothing ever lasts. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, just a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, a little. I'll sing hey diddle diddle and you can stay little for a while, just a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little.
Let's go to the place where you don't hurt and I don't work. The place in the picture we love that freezes the sunlight on our faces and the youth in our bodies. Pause that part of the video in the middle of your dance, mid-thrust, mid-air, off-beat, the indivisible, undeniable you and me. And I know we can't stay here forever, little one. Even in this digital age, we get lost in the hard drives of our need for individual ambitions. But for this moment, for this moment, little one, I'm pretending that time passed us by like the turtle-shaped clouds that you like to point out. And now I'm about to gobble all them little toes right up. How long will you long for me to be your monster? How long will it take you to find the sword of puberty and consider me a monster? How many mistakes do I get in raising you and disappointing your mother? What if I just say no? You are not allowed to leave this moment, to grow into another body, to get too heavy to lift over the crowd so that you can see what is coming, so that the only thing you have to deal with is your imagination, and that's still filled with furry neon and sweet things that make your mouth and hands sticky. And I got backpacks and several diaper bags full of sugar, and not that sweet and low stuff either. I'm talking pure cane sugar, sugar on truth. Sugar on your skin, you cinnamon baby girl, pure, sweet, spicy cinnamon. And I want you to yell that to any insecurity that questions you. You caramel, little man, daddy's hungry. Give me that disillusionment to gobble right up. Kids, we don't have to leave this castle until we want to, okay? Let's just sit here and pretend time forgot us.
Quicker than a kiss, sweet as your laugh. If the day got away, nothing ever lasts. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, just a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little, a little. I'll sing a hey diddle diddle and you can stay little for a while, just a little. Let's pretend time left us behind for a little.
I'm the dog, no small. Mama cooked the breakfast with no hog. I got my grub on, but didn't pig out. Finally got the kids in the bath, time to get out. Hooked it up for later as I hit the dough, thinking, well, I live another 24.
I gotta go cause I got me a drop top, and if
What? I can make the bag drop. Had to stop
at a red light,
looking in my mirror and nobody's in sight.
and everything is alright.
I got a call from Janine, and she could read
All night.
Called up my friends and I'm asking y'all,
Which part are y'all playing basketball?
get me on the court and I'm trouble. Last week messed around and got a triple double, and I'm going everywhere.
I know what to do.
Can't believe today was a good day.
On New Year's Day, 1863, the emancipation became the law of the land, and there was great jubilation. This was a momentous occasion. We as a nation were moving beyond having a slave economy into experiencing freedom. This was a culmination of centuries of long and hard work. To celebrate, thousands of abolitionists gathered at the Boston Music Hall. The poets, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and Ralph Waldo Emerson, began organizing this big and beautiful and momentous occasion. This wasn't the first time for them. Longfellow had written 20 years a poem called The Poems of Slavery. Emerson had started lecturing against slavery 19 years before. He used the magazine he co-founded, The Atlantic, to advance his cause. William Lord Garrison, who was an abolitionist newspaperman, he worked on this for 32 years. He launched The Liberator. In the audience, people recognized Harriet Beecher Stowe, who a decade earlier had written Uncle Tom's Cabin. Down the block in the Tremont Baptist Church, there was another gathering that was going on. And there was William Cooper Neal, who had for 40 years championed the cause of the abolitionists. Also, Frederick Douglass was there, and he had escaped slavery 24 years beforehand. So we often hear that it is what it is, right? You just can't change things. You need to accept them for what they are. But you know, there's nothing true about that. In fact, one of the tenets of our teaching is this, is that principle does not stand on precedent. Theologically, it's wrong because we hear and we learn in God, all things are made new. But why this is important is that these characters, it wasn't a whim. It wasn't a spring project. It was something that they worked on for decades and decades and decades. So we are coming out of this pandemic, and I think that there are two things that we're strongly learning from it. First, the pandemic is an accelerant. And what I mean by that is it's moving things and getting things active. You know, those things that are tenable and sustainable are growing and expanding. Those things that never were are beginning to close in and collapse on themselves. And so maybe it's an important question for each of us to ask, you know, how has our life become accelerated? What is falling away? What is coming forward? And the second thing about the pandemic is this, is that it's bringing opportunities. Now, opportunities aren't always easy. In fact, the word in Chinese for crisis means dangerous opportunity, but they are there nonetheless. Essentially, what we are dealing with is how do we begin to make structural changes in our life to begin to achieve the things that we want to do. These aren't overnight events. They happen within a long, sometimes drawn out period of time, sometimes with fits and starts, sometimes with many defeats and few victories. But then, like the abolitionist movement, they begin to gain a momentum in our lives. We begin to change. And as we begin to change, we begin to draw to us those things that we desire, that we love, that connects us to all those things. So, one of the tenets of our teaching is that each of us has a unique gift to offer. You know, we live in this vast universe where everything is interconnected to everything else. But often we underestimate our true self, our true value by self-abandonment. As you know, I'm a big Tolkien fan. And one of the things that Gandalf says is this: treason has ever been our greatest foe. And what I would offer, self-abandonment, is a form of treason to ourself. In fact, I would further postulate this, that the reason treason exists in our world today is because it has already happened at the level of the self. It is a person who is self-abandoned, who has sown treason within their own values and the things that are important to them that causes treason to exist in the first place. So something that James Martin says in his book, Becoming Who You Are. The gifts and talents and natural desires that had been placed in me by God and were valued by others and needed to be valued by me So here's my question. What are those unique gifts in you that others value that perhaps you don't value within yourself? And oh, by the way, it's high time you should. And if you're not sure of what they are, ask people whom you know. Ask people whom you trust. What do you see are values that I offer? And then ask yourself, do you have resonance with it? Do you push against it? Or do you embrace it? We often struggle with deep resistance to our own true self, often because we think that we're confused, that we don't know what it is. And again, James Martin, in his book, Becoming Who You Are, says this. So how do you determine if something is an essential part of your true self or simply an unfreedom that needs to be challenged? Good question. Basically, one has to ask, is this part of myself keeping me from being more loving and generous? Is this keeping me from being closer to God and other people? If the answer is yes, perhaps it may be time to consider how you could move away from whatever prevents you from being more loving and more generous. And so, as we are examining making these structural changes in our life, perhaps it's letting go of something. Perhaps it's embracing something. I want to ask you a question. These are important questions. These are guiding questions. These are the kind of questions that allow us to dive deep into who you are. So what I want you to do is this. If you have a pen and paper handy, write these two questions and answer them. The unfortunate truth about the situation is, therefore, the right action to take is. Breathing in, The unfortunate truth about the situation is, with all my denial, with all my avoidance, with all the things that are going on, what is the truth about the situation? Maybe it's inconvenient to face it, but perhaps it's time to do just that. And therefore, what is the right action to be taken? I asked these questions last week in Sunday service, and people began to talk about these things. There were financial issues, there were health issues, there were things that people had put on the back burner that are now facing. This is now time to do this. It's about listening to that still small voice within us and allowing that to guide us. Henri Nouwen says this: every time you listen with great attentiveness to that voice that calls you the beloved, you will discover within yourself a desire to hear that voice longer and more deeply. It's like discovering a well in the desert. And so part of our practice is this, is cultivating quiet time so we can listen to that voice that calls us the beloved. And maybe you hear that voice when you're sitting in your garden. And maybe you hear that voice when you're watching your child or your grandchild play. And maybe in those still small places, this is where you hear it. It is said that silence is God's first language. And it calls us to do what is ours to do. And it may appear meaningless or not important, and yet it is so serious. So consider these words from Wendell Berry when you're struggling, when you're asking yourself, what is yours to do? It is simple, it is deep, it is profound, and trust me, it has remarkably good consequences. In the dark of the moon, in flying snow, in the dead of winter, war spreading, families dying, the world in danger, I walk the rocky hillside sowing clover. You know, death controls the length of our days, but we control the depth of our days. And the depth of our days is a response to that voice that calls us the beloved. And to respond to that in our own way, in our own spiritual practice, it is when things seem stormy and out of control and perhaps hopeless, we walk the rocky hillsides sowing clover. So thank you again for being part of our virtual celebration. And I want to ask you, would you please consider sharing this video with friends, or making comments, or liking it, or subscribing? Because, you know, in the virtual world, it's all about algorithms. And as we are getting enough people to do this, we create more momentum, and then we begin to move to the front of the line. I mean, we've all seen on YouTube some dog licking a chicken. And I happen to believe that what we're doing is good and important. So I'd love for you to partner with the rest of us here at the Hilltop Center and allowing this virtual service to expand and grow in great ways. And so, my dear friends, to those whom you love and those whom you receive love from, and for you, all you fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers, I wish you many, many, many blessings.
It's a glorious day on the planet I love. Let me tell you what I'm thinking of, 'cause I've been wondering why it was, but it's just life doing what it does. We keep trying to mess it up, they keep trying to bring us down. So I'm just gonna smile at everything around, 'cause I've got earth beneath my feet and the sky above. It's a glorious day on the planet I love. And don't tell me about someday somehow, 'cause all I need is right here, right now. I got some rhythm and I got some rhyme. I got my music and I got my mind. We were sinking in circles, imprisoned in the past. Now I'm just gonna be, and I'm free at last, 'cause I've got earth beneath my feet and the sky above. It's a glorious day on the planet I love, because there's children playing somewhere. How's life on Jupiter? I don't care, no, 'cause we've got lovers just laying there. Oh yeah. Well, I'm no hero, I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being afraid, 'cause I've been wondering why it was, but it's just life doing what it does. And I've got earth beneath my feet and the sky above. I'm gonna rise above that old push and shove, 'cause I've got earth beneath my feet and the sky above. Ah yeah. It's a glorious day on the planet I love. Whoa, oh, oh, it's a glorious day now. Oh, 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 it's a glorious day. Yeah. Oh, 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 it's a glorious day. A glorious day on the planet I love. A glorious day on the planet I love. A glorious day on the planet I love.
Being in the sanctuary this morning for me is so symbolic of a new beginning. Do you feel it? Like a new beginning. Our sanctuary feels fresh and clean, and my heart is just so open to see you, to share with you, and to take this time of conscious, we call it conscious giving, but it's, you know, it's a flow of energy. I think of when I first sat in one of those pews in the back, kind of anxious, not sure what to expect. And the more that I heard, it was like coming home. I heard Reverend Guy's talk, and he spoke directly to my heart. And that's what hooked me. And I kept coming back because it started to change my life. I felt empty and alone. My husband had passed. I was feeling really down, and what's the purpose of it all? And his words started to inspire me. And then that led to taking classes. So when I think of what the Hilltop Center means for me, it's very personal. It was life-changing. It put me on a whole different direction that I would never have gotten to before. And so when I say this is my spiritual home, I truly mean it. You are my spiritual family, and we share and we grow up together and kind of all over each other as we are growing. So if you value Hilltop, think about supporting it. And as many of you do so readily and so beautifully, either with your treasures, your time, whatever that means to you. And there are many ways to do it. Online, there's a box at the back as you leave the sanctuary. You know, drop your check, whatever speaks to you. And I know in the fall we're going to start up with in-person classes. We have classes online right now. There's so many tools that we're offering to help me live a better, a fuller, and a more meaningful life. You know, life deals, ups, downs, things that we cannot control. So this offers me food for my living, and I hope it does for you. Thank you.
I'm just so grateful that you're all here today. And if it's the first time, you know, we've been talking about, you know, food and coffee and that kind of stuff. We're going to start coffee. We're not going to go into a full-blown hospitality thing for a while. But here's the deal. If you know, like Ann at one of the concerts baked cookies, so I guess I'm talking right to you, Ann. But if someone wanted to make something to share and then clean it up and take it home on their own, no one's going to say no to that. So with that, let us just hold a moment of excitement, of peace, and of joy. And just to those whom you love and those whom you receive love from, we bless them all. We give thanks. We let it be. And so it is.